Hello. Today I'd like to introduce you to the Canadian-produced Inglis copy of the FN Browning high-power pistol, 9mm Luger. This was a service pistol that was produced in large numbers by the John Inglis Company of near Toronto, Canada. They were originally issued to the Chinese. Later they were issued to the British and Canadian forces in World War II. And even later they were issued to a number of different militaries around the world before production ceased in approximately 1945. This is quite a well-made version of the FN High Power. Biggest differences in the John Inglis made gun. These were dimensioned on the inch pattern or the American standard pattern. The FN made guns were produced in the metric standards. And these feature, original guns had a tanget sight on them. These were made for the Chinese. Slider sight went up to 1,000 meters, and then they cut it down to 500 meters. They also featured a slot on the back for mounting a wooden shoulder stock that also doubled as a holster. This was eliminated on these later Canadian and British versions. Probably most, if not all, of the Chinese-made guns did come with the shoulder stock holster combination. The biggest advantage over these guns have over the FN produced, in my personal opinion, they feature a dovetail front sight assembly as opposed to the staked on stud assembly front sight on the FN made pistols. And what this allowed is easy replacement of the front sight, and you could also change to different heights of front sight to change point of aim, point of impact on the pistol using different weights of bullets or just to suit the individual shooters. These are quite well made. This particular pistol was issued to the British forces sometime during World War II. In 1962, the British decided to upgrade the handgun, put it through a program known as factory thorough repair. This little mark here shows that that was done at Enfield Depot in England. And the primary things that they did on these guns were to replace the slides if they needed it, internal components of any worn parts that were needed. They replaced the barrel with an upgraded version, stronger barrel. And they improved they added a new extractor, a larger extractor, which required milling out the slides to fit the new extractor. This allowed for more reliable function of the handgun. The field stripping procedure is basically the same on this gun as the FN High Power. It's relatively simple and straightforward. And we'll get to that just a second here. This is a British issued holster, web holster. These were based on the Canadian pattern holsters. The biggest difference that the British did with the holster is to add a separate flap on here for the spare magazine container. And there is get it out of there. Spare magazine can be carried in the gun, or in the holster, excuse me. And like the Canadian holsters, they had a pocket for the cleaning rod. And quite nice, you had a cleaning rod available. Keep the gun clean. One of the other things that the British did when they did put these guns through factory thorough repair, the original finish on the Inglis gun was a parkerized or phosphated coating. Normally on the original guns it shows as kind of a green tint or a gray-green tint. Some of them will run a little bit to the black side from oil and lubricant and stuff, but the original ones had it was a very greenish tint. And when the British repaired and worked over these handguns, they applied a stoving paint finish. That's why this gun looks painted, because it is, in place of the parkerizing. And they felt that was a more durable finish and resisted rust and corrosion. So let's get going with the field strip. Very, very simple. First thing you want to do, check the chamber, magazine, make sure there's no cartridges in the weapon. Remove the magazine. Next thing you want to do, push the slide back until you can push the safety lock up into the second notch on the slide. Lock it back. There's a little stud over on the right side. It's a projection from the slide stop lever itself. You want to get your finger on that, push up on the slide lock, and then push out on that projection. At that point, you can pull the slide lock completely off the side of the weapon. Then you want to just push back a little bit, push down on the slide lock, release it, and pull the slide off the front of the frame. Then all you have to do is pull down and out on the recoil spring assembly, and that'll come out. Push forward a little bit on the barrel and pull down, and you can pull that free of the slide. And that's your basic field strip on the Inglis. Very, very simple gun. This is one of the things that the British did. They replaced these barrels. On some of them they had like new barrels. This particular one was like new, so all they did is remachined a notch up in here. The originals had a rounded notch. They've made this into a square notch, and that provided more bearing surface, a little more lug surface, and improved the lockup on the gun, improved the functioning on the gun, and the longevity of the barrel. This reduced the amount of wear down here in this area. Okay. Reassembly, just put your barrel back into your slide, push it down into the lugs. When you go to replace your recoil spring assembly, make sure the little stud portion is facing out and the rounded portion of the guide is facing up towards the barrel. It goes into the slide, just push forward and up, and it'll click into the little notch on the barrel lug. Push the slide back onto the frame of the gun and run it down until you can gauge the secondary notch. The easiest way I found to replace the slide locks, there's a little ball in here, little cutout that holds it right here. It's a secondary lock, just keeps the slide lock in place. But it can be a little difficult getting these in. Best way that I've found to do it, place the slide lock into the gun like so, and just kind of push in at the same time that you're twisting, and it'll click into place fairly easy. Then just push back on the slide, reduce the safety lock, release it, let the slide go forward. The Inglis and the FN High Power have a magazine safety. Gun will not fire without a magazine in place. So to decock it, replace the magazine, decock the weapon. You're good to go. I hope this helps you and gives you a little insight on these wonderful handguns. Thank you for watching.